Hey everyone, it's Sean Hammond here from Everyday Wimbledon. Just to kind of give you another overview of our trip here in Kenya. So we've been in Kenya now for the last couple of days. It's day 3 of our visit. If you're just joining us, the reason that we're here is I'm here with a group of people from Everyday Wimbledon, and we're here on behalf of Compassion UK. Compassion work with children around the world to alleviate child poverty in areas where it's most needed. And the reason that Everyday Church is involved with Compassion is because last year, thanks to your generosity, we saw over 90 children sponsored through Compassion in a particular area called Ngong, which is just outside of Nairobi here in Kenya. And Compassion have invited us over this year to visit our project, to meet some of our sponsored children, and just to see some of their work. And so I thought I'd record these videos over the course of our trip, just to tell you a bit more about what's happening, and just to kind of share with you our journey as we go. I'm here with a group of people from Everyday Wimbledon, and so far we're having an amazing time. Yesterday, we saw some incredible stuff. We visited the Compassion headquarters office here in Kenya, and then we went on to a project called Chemi Chemi, which is in a place just outside of Nairobi. And in Chemi Chemi, there are over 80 children being sponsored there, being looked after by the church, and about half a dozen of those are actually sponsored by Everyday Church people. So it was a real privilege for us here on the tour to be able to present your gifts to them, to hear all about them and their work and what they get up to there in Chemi Chemi, and to see their dancing and to have a really great time playing football and all sorts of games with them as well too. So thank you so much for your prayers. You know, in some ways, I was reflecting a little bit as we were in the vans on the way to the Chemi Chemi project, that the challenges and the problems being faced here in Kenya are really not that dissimilar to the UK. On the way to Chemi Chemi, we drove past some incredible high-rise buildings and some really luxury skyscraper apartments. And then right next door to these same apartments, just a stone's throw away, were some awful shanty towns with corrugated iron roofs and bare earth floor with no electricity or running water. Now, you might think that that's very, very different for the UK, but it just got me thinking about some of our more rundown council estates, which seem to coexist right next to wealthy Victorian townhouses. The Grenfell Tower, which sadly perished in a horrific blaze not too long ago, was in the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea, home to some of the most expensive real estate in the whole country. And we met, when we were at Chemi Chemi, we managed to do a home visit, and we met the family where a grandmother, who was quite frail and ill herself, was the primary caregiver to an 11-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy, her grandchildren, because their mother had passed away and their father was debilitated by alcoholism. And again, it just got me thinking that in the UK, the availability of cheap alcohol is such a hot button topic, isn't it? And it's a topic of concern because of the physical and emotional damage it does to so many lives. And so I just found it amazing that we think of these two cultures as being so radically different from each other, and yet when you get down to them, some of the problems that are affecting them are not that dissimilar at all. The Bible talks about us being one body, about us all being united together. And although we are different in placement, form, and function, we share much more in common than we have differences. And those kinds of things really struck me as we were driving around. Yes, the poverty is probably more extreme here than what I might see in the UK, but the social challenges are not at all dissimilar to what we might encounter. And so it would be really easy for us to get down on what we saw yesterday. But let me tell you why I ended yesterday by having a lot of hope. We met a gentleman named Ken, who was the sponsor engagement manager in the Kenyan Compassion offices. Now, he was a former sponsored child himself. He grew up in a very deprived area in Mombasa, another town in Kenya, and he managed to get through university through because of child sponsorship. He got a BA in mathematics and an MA in statistics, and he is now working for Compassion, and he and his family now sponsor children through Compassion of their own in the same area where he grew up, and I found that astounding. And what he said to us was that he shared how passionate he was about breaking the cycle of poverty. Some sponsored children go on to have children of their own that they put through the sponsors program purely because they've got this sort of dependency on child sponsorship, and Compassion really believe that's the cycle that needs to be broken. And they believe that what Ken said really struck me when he said he believes that if they know Jesus, then the Spirit of God is dwelling within them, and therefore transformation must occur as a result. And that's one of the reasons why I think I ended yesterday with real hope. Compassion targets children as young as possible, recognizing that the first 1,000 days of a child's life are the most critical in terms of their life development and ongoing chances in life. Proverbs 22:6 in the Bible says, "Teach a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not turn from it." And so as I reflect back on what we've seen already yesterday, I don't just see despair, I see joy, I see hope, and I even see peace. The work that Compassion does makes a huge difference. Your generosity through sponsorship and gift donation, through everything else that you've been able to bless us with as we go on this trip, is having a real and genuine impact. And I can tell you this because we're seeing it. I look forward to sharing with you more about our trip as we go on. But thank you very much for watching, and God bless you. See you soon.